Hi, my name is Giselle Sierra and I'm going to talk about English literature. So we have here Romanticism. But what was it? Was an artistic, literary, musical and intellectual movement that was for express feelings and the glorification of all, characterized by imagination, intuition, idealism, inspiration in relation with the nature, emotions, and individualism. It was a reaction of the Industrial Revolution, and William Blake was influenced for that. He was a poet, painter, engraver, and visionary man. He worked to bring a change in the social order and in the minds of men. His favorite brother died, and he always felt the spirit of him. And he said that the spirit of his brother was an inspiration for him. Yes, and his style. He was influenced by the social and the political change of London, and he had a strong religious aspect. In his poems, you can see purity and innocence of childhood. Okay, so you can see here a painting that William Blake did called the Newton, and you can see how the nature is inspiration, how the human body is nature too, and how you can find the truth with the science maybe. So we have here an extract from Algorithm of Innocence. And in this poem, you can see the human spirituality and how he expressed his emotions and his feelings, and how the eternity can be nature. Yes, and also you can see how he wants to express in his poems a melodic quality. Yes. So now we have transcendentalism. But what was it? Was a literary, political, and philosophical movement characterized by the oversoul, harmony in relation with the nature, and also nature is inspiration. Human mind can find truths with the science, individualism, society in relation with the corruption, and people want to find equality. You can see that they have a relation with the nature and also with God. Walt Whitman was one of the most influential poets in transcendentalism and was an American poet, essayist, and journalist. Whitman worked as a volunteer nurse during the Civil War, and here he found experience of the war and also inspiration to write. His style, he aimed to transcend traditional epics and issues normal aesthetic form. He is called father of free verse. You can see here some of his works, and here you can see an extract or a poem, a short poem that I like it because you can see how the nature is the inspiration here. It is in free verse, it conveys emotions, it's a natural language, an exuberant form, and you can see that he didn't have a rhyme and a meter to write. Okay, so another author of transcendentalism was Edgar Allan Poe, was an American short story writer, poet, editor, and literary critic. His parents died, but he was adopted. He had a classical education and he was to the University of Virginia, but he was excluded from the academy. He died from drinking and heart failure, and he was a master of macabre, a pioneer of science fiction genre, father of the detective story, atmosphere of horror in his stories. Okay, so you can see here some of his works. Okay, so I choose this extract because you can see an atmosphere of horror and how he played with the human psychology, with self-destruction, and he wrote with depravity because if you can see the description is very, very, very illustrative. So now, Victorian era. What was it? Was a period of Queen Victoria's reign and is characterized by English imperialism. England was expanded, transition from Romantic period, Industrial Revolution, involved in social reforms, and the age of critical realism. In English imperialism, we have some relation with our next author, the Puritan morality and the repressed sexuality, but also how the social reform was in relation with his works. So Oscar Wilde, he was an Irish poet and playwright. He had an exuberant personality and Wilde married an English woman named Constance Lloyd, but with Wilde as affair with a young man led to his arrest on charges of gross indecency. As I said before, he was repressed his sexuality, and he died 2 years after his release. His style to write, a leading proponent of the principles of aestheticism. He used to paradoxes and moral decay and criticism of society, social reforms, and always was present the aestheticism in his works. We can see here some of his works and a painting that I like it from that time that is named Venus Becticordia. Okay, I choose this extract, the Le Jardin, because while through aestheticism, how I said before, he always wrote with his principles, aestheticism, and he had a wide vocabulary to express his ideas. He exalted beauty and he used to the rim all the time. Okay, so we have here the Beat Generation, or also called the Beat Movement, was an American social and literary movement, but also musical, centered in the Bohemian artist communities like San Francisco, Venice West, and New York cities. Express their alienation from conventional, he adopted a style of dress and manners to be or act, and his vocabulary borrowed from jazz musicians, And we have here some characteristics that they had. The poets wrote in verses frequently chaotic and liberally sprinkled. They wrote to liberate poetry from academic preciosity. The beat generation advocate personal relays, purification and illumination through sensory awareness. And they fought for for a sexual revolution and for a spiritual liberation and the demystification of some laws against marijuana or another drug. We have to remember that Allen Ginsberg, who became the most representative poetic expression of the beatniks. And okay, so I choose these songs because I think that represent the sense of the beat generation, and I want to show it. And okay, so I have here a short poem uh, by Allen Ginsberg, written by Allen Ginsberg, that express his point of view in a poetic form. Yes, express emotions and feelings. And I think that this is a poem of liberation. Okay, so now science fiction. Ray Bradbury was an American fantasy and horror author and categorized as a science fiction author, and he was involved in the drama club in the school, and he married with Margaret McClure, and his best known novel is Fahrenheit 451, and he had a particular way to write because he used similes, metaphors, and personification, something that I love. Here we have some works, and finally, uh, Fahrenheit 451. I had the opportunity to read this, and I like it so much because the writing style is lyrical and descriptive all the time, and the narrator employs figurative language and describes the spirituality of moments and settings, something really amazing. And finally, thank you.